Hi, this is Chan. He is so Can. I am telling you right now that a little update on my channel for YouTube. What I plan to do, besides the wine, is to make. I'm making pigments, but I'm also making wine. I might try cherry wine. I might try mango wine. I might try mango orange wine with about 800, 900 grams of white sugar in the fermenting jug. Produce alcohol, and I might do a whole bunch of videos in the future about wine making and different types of preparation and the pH of the acidity of the fruit and the sugar and the yeast. There's a correlation between that and how much alcohol you get out of it. It's a very complex system. But I found overall, using apple juice or something that has low acidity and then putting tons of sugar tends not to work that well for a period of a couple of months. I tend to get 4 or 5% alcohol, but if I take cranberry juice, which is tart, has a very, very high amount of oxalic acid, tannic acid, different types of fruit juices in the fruit juice, and then they add citric acid in that might settle out, and then you put in about 700 800 grams of sugar, white sugar, in a 3.5 liter gallon jug, and then shake it and do all the procedure. And then what you do is when you put in the yeast and do this preparation, and then afterwards measure your alcohol would be 0. But after you wait a few months, you would do the test, the buoyancy test with the alcohol meter to determine what kind of alcohol concentration you're dealing with. Is it beer? Is it wine? Is it in between? I think the cranberry, the grapefruit wine I made, it was only 10% because the grapefruit had different types of fruit juice mixed in of it. It wasn't pure fruit juice, grapefruit. It was like a mixture of apple grapefruit juice for different types of things from Oasis. So it would have an interesting result. It had 10% alcohol by volume, and it was pretty tart. And after it would age, it would go up just a little bit. But I want to do some more experimenting with different types of wine. Now, this doesn't give me excuse for anybody else, if you're going to make wine, to abuse it or become an alcoholic with it. Just be responsible with the wine and know that having a large amount of wine around is tempting for people. But I have ways of controlling that, and I don't have large amounts of it. And I think there's a lot of cool things you can do with the wine, like put it in the freezer and chill it, and that. It depends on the flavor. And I'm also saying you can go to the store, Loblaws, Lobes, those kind of places, and look. I'm in Canada, Quebec, and look for fruit juices that don't have any preservatives. It was surprising to see all the fruit juices that had stuff that would be like sulfates that would just basically kill your yeast instantly if you try doing that. So it is interesting. It is interesting you can get quite good white sugar that's quite refined and pure, and that's what I would do it for. That's another update. And I'm also saying that another update, besides the DMSO and the copper nanoparticles and the type of copper nanoparticles I'll be testing with the light microscope and different materials by posting that, maybe YouTube videos, maybe using the microscope to see the crystals between mine and my homemade nanoparticles. One was a chemical composition, one was electrolysis, and one was a lab pharmaceutical grade, and see what they would do, what I can possibly do with it in terms of testing. I don't have a lot of material I can do. I can use slides and heat up the material very carefully, and because of the citric acid in there and other stuff, it might caramelize on the slide. So I'd have to use some kind of alcohol burner or a hot plate, something that would basically cause an alcohol burner preferred. basically cause the burner to light up, and then you basically cap it in that, and you put it near it, and that, and what happens is over a period of time, the alcohol lamp would be a quite interesting way to get the slide to solidify. Let it cool for a bit, let it cool, put some oil immersion on, put it under my light microscope I got from Amazon, and be able to see the crystals of the salts, and maybe some of the nanoparticles. Maybe, I don't know. There's a limitation what I can do, because the nanoparticles themselves but you can see some of the characteristics of impure versus pure versus certain chemicals that are found that I use, like the sodium citrate, which I tried to put into a bottle. You should put into a glass bottle and freeze it to get some of the stuff to crash out, but that didn't really work that well. It stayed in solution, so that's a disadvantage of doing it yourself, but I don't recommend it. I'm looking into seeing if I can take a phosphorus coating with some epoxy made from like a resin on a glass slide or something like that, and put it under a whole bunch of my uranium ore, which releases gamma radiation. I have a whole bunch of uranium ore and thorium ore. To measure the radiation and see how much radiation in terms of counts per minute and microsieverns per hour, like it is in terms of gamma, and see if I can find zinc sulfide type material, zinc sulfide pigments. It might be very expensive. I don't know if I can do this and get it to fluoresce very weakly under that type of radiation. I operate quite safely with radiation. I don't take the ore out of the box, expose myself to dust, which could be hazardous. I would never crush up the dust. You have to be very safe when dealing with anything. It's like an ore, and that when it could be like, I keep it in a package. I have things around it, plastic bags, so big stick so it doesn't shake and create a dust. Like, you have to be wise and prudent when you're dealing with the ore. These are good safety precautions when dealing with anything radioactive. It's not that radioactive. My two ores would probably read about 2,000 counts per minute, and about, I'd say the total ore for the uranium actinidite would be about 20, no, not 20, maybe 12, 13 microsieverns an hour of gamma. Not that intense, but you would not want to be around it for a long period of time. And I also recommend, if you're going to be working with it, have some kind of lead shielding, a tin can that's lead shielding for radioactive signs that you know, and just keep it in a certain thing. There are certain things you can do. You can go on eBay or Amazon and get certain lead strips and strip them with tape, so there's many layers of lead, and that I found that reduced the tin, or the steel tin, reduced the gamma by 50%, around 40, 45, 50, and then the lead reduced it by another 20, 25. They're very thin pieces of lead, so it won't be that effective. There would be gaps where the radiation can get through between the lead and the tape, but it is a good way of doing it. And if I have anything covered, like downstairs, I have my guided camera, I can barely read any background radiation. Yeah, it's producing radiation, but it's being shielded and protects me from it. So there's some projects I'm thinking of doing besides wine. I think I might try the more nanoparticle stuff. Maybe more plating if I can. I don't know about the plating techniques. It's not winter yet. It's still winter, so I can't go outside and make brass. But I could go to a second hardware store or that and look for pans that are made from steel and that kind of stuff, thick stainless steel. Put them under a propane stove in the summertime. You need well ventilated area, and make a fine zinc lye solution. Heat up the propane and try to make it form a brass and show how to make it. You have to have an even distribution between the brass, the heat, and the zinc particles and the lye. I think a better method is to try to get the lye to react with the zinc and heat it up and then decant it, because you can't filter lye with regular filter. You get impurities. But what I could really do is try some more brass experiments with lye and stuff like that. It'll be interesting. Thanks for watching this video. Chan out.